Hi my YouTube friends, I am going to introduce you about the world of sonnets. Yes, it is for the beginners only. At first, I am going to introduce you about the meaning of sonnets. The word sonnet, it is derived from the Greek word sonneto. It means it is sound. It is a short lyric of 14 lines. And the Italian genius Petrarch used this form of lyric to express his love for his beloved Laura, and it is the benchmark of Italian sonnets and Petrarchan sonnet. It is the Italian poet Petrarch who introduced first about the sonnets, and he introduced our readers to the sonnets. His sonnets are divided into two parts. The first part is octave of 8 lines, and the sextet of the 6 lines, which is base of cathedra after 8 lines. But what is the sonnet in English soil? It is not Shakespeare, but the Thomas Watt and Earl of Surrey at first introduced the sonnet into England. So, I am at first going to Thomas Watt. Yes, Sir Thomas Watt. Sir Thomas Watt introduced the sonnet into England. He was a young courtier of the court of Henry VIII, and he frequently visited Italy, and it is linked to Italy, and he introduced the sonnet, Petrarchan sonnet from there. In his mission, for the second time, England penetrated into the Italian civilizations. The word of Pinto, the Pinto actually wanted to mean that the Italian sonnet here took into the world of English soil. His amazing mastery over the verse technique, his humanism, and his expression of the courtly love in sonnets fired imagination, Thomas Watt's, and made him a great and memorable pioneer. It is the Petrarchan form. Thomas Watt used the Petrarchan form of sonnets. And now I am going to Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey, the second genius. Was the younger contemporary of the Thomas Watt. He is also his disciple. He never seems to visit Italy himself. It was through his friend that the Italian influence reached him and fired his imagination. But what is actually I wanted to say, Surrey was far greater artist than Watt, and more remarkable poet. He was also a greater scholar, learned in Greek and Roman literatures. So, actually, his venture into the world of sonnet is better than Thomas Watt. Though he follows the Petrarchan convention of courtly love, like his previous, he does not follow the Petrarchan model of sonnet. He followed the Petrarchan style, Petrarchan imagination, but not Petrarchan structure of sonnet. Why? He divided his sonnets into 3 quatrains, which is going as close to Shakespearean, with a couplet at the end, and thus he is the first use that formed the sonnet, which came to be called as Shakespearean sonnet. Yes, Shakespearean sonnet, like the cricket, the Douglas Berrilier shot is a Tilakratne Zilson shot. So it is now introduced as a Shakespearean sonnet. From the great draughtsmanship we use it. And then Sir Philip Sidney. Philip Sidney is also the great name in the history of Elizabethan sonnets. Sir Philip Sidney and his sonnet sequence entitled Astrophel and Stella was published in 1591. He was also a great master of sonnets, but the greatest of the great is William Shakespeare, the master of Elizabethan sonnet, the master of sonnets. Actually meaning, while the sonnets of Sidney and Spenser form the very core of their poetic work, Shakespeare's sonnets were written in the moment snatched from the work of the theatre. I mean, it is intended for the theatres. His 154 sonnets were first published in 69, and as Wordsworth has put it, it was this key that the poet unlocked his heart. I mean, he has unlocked his heart through the sonnets, his sonnet cycles. And here I am going to introduce you about some features of the Elizabethan sonnet. Elizabethan sonnet appear in the sequences, not singly, I mean in sonnet cycle like Shakespearean sonnets. They are generally written merely because of this fashion to the sonnets, most of them artificials. I mean, saying artificial love. The Petrarchan sonnet convention is generally followed, but in the case of Shakespeare, it is not followed. In the case of Thomas Ward, not Earl of Surrey, it is not all followed. The fashion of the right sonnets, most of them are artificial. Petrarchan sonnets are followed here. There is the imagination of a translation and the foreign models, more especially French and Italian. There is often mingling of the conventional and the independent of the original and intimate. The English form of the sonnet is generally used after Sidney. Yes, after Sidney. Their name is Always Love is a generally married lady. Yes, the sonnets are expressing the love, especially to a married lady. It's concealed love and generally published after death of the poet. The best Elizabethan sonnet is extremely musical. Yes, it is extremely musical in character. It's characterized by the perfection of form. And after the post-Elizabethan age, there are many much more poets. And once the sonnet snatched from this type and come close to the nature in the hand of natural poets, I mean return to the nature era. But today I am going to introduce you about the first two sonnets, means the Petrarchan sonnets. Come to the sonnets, I mean Petrarchan sonnet at first. Now I am going to open this folder. Yes, I am opening it. The Petrarchan sonnet. Yes, this is the example of an Italian sonnet. See, the red lines are octave. The first line, second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, sixth line, seventh line, and eighth line. And the blue lines are sestet. The sixth line, the letter sixth line. Then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. And now the pattern A, B, B, A, R, N, N, R, A, B, B, A, B, B, A. This octave pattern in all the Italian and Italian resemble sonnets are resembles to each other, but the variation comes in the part of sestet. ABBA are alike in all the cases, but in the sestet they are apart from each other. Petrarch is other, Earl of Surrey is other, and they are apart. C, D, E. C, D, E. See that. And another cases are other as it is. It is the example of Italian sonnet, and here the stanza pattern is divided into two parts. One is octave and other is sestet. Octave is flourishing the poet's statement on the subject, and latter part, I mean sestet, is flourishing the poet's statement on the subject matter, and as he comes to his conclusion, it is described here vividly. I mean, it is the poet's definition. I am closing it. Now, I am going to the part of English sonnets. Here the see this part. It is a Shakespearean sonnet, I mean English sonnet as it is. Say the stanza pattern. Here are the three quatrains: first quatrains, second quatrains, third quatrains, and it's the concluding couplet. And here for the clarification, vivid clarification, here is also the stanza personally written by the side: A B B A, C D C D, E F E F, and G G. It is the scheme, rhyme scheme of English sonnets, as it is taken by Surrey and later by Shakespeare. So, then I am going to the first again. Here, the rhyme pattern of the sonnets, the Petrarchan sonnets, as it is: A B B A, A B B A, C D C D C D. The Shakespearean sonnet: A B B A, C D C D, E F E F, G G. And here for the clarification, in both types of there is a clear break between the first eight lines. First, the chord and the octave, and the final sestet. The sestet. The octave is the description of the situation, and the sestet gives the poet's reflection on it. Yes, it is. In the case of English sonnet, these two couplet here, that's its concluding couplet. This quatrain, first two quatrain mingles together as octave, and the last quatrain and concluding couplet mingles together to set up as the sestet, as we can take it. And here the clarification is total here. It is octave and it is sestet. That is total here. And for the first part, I think it is quite evident, and later I will go to introduce you the latter part. Today, bye bye.